An American pastor was kidnapped in Gqeberha, which is an area in Port Elizabeth. And Gqeberha has been kind of going viral over the last couple of months for some very, very wild stuff. Not long ago, we were talking about extortion gangs.
Extortion rackets are tearing through Gqeberha, turning lives upside down. Criminal gangs are targeting anyone they see as an easy target.
I'll come back to that. Timothy Omotosho, or Pastor Timothy Omotosho, got arrested, and also was his judgment was being done in that particular area.
Sipa Game covered the Omodoso trial then for us in Gqeberha and joins us now live. Sipa, let's just run through the timelines perhaps of this trial.
Criminal activity has also been rampantly being reported as well. As I mentioned, extortion gangs are a thing over there, and they are very big. And so right now, there has been a missionary pastor who's come from the US, and he's been ministering right in that area, and he was recently kidnapped. These are some news bulletins from the US reporting on some of these things that have actually been happening down here. I actually, funny enough, almost never heard about this until I was actually watching an American broadcasting thing in South Africa. They're talking about all kinds of stories and stuff like that. And so stories like this we might not hear.
This is your missionary, Josh Sullivan, here.
Tonight, an urgent search to find Josh Sullivan, a Tennessee pastor authorities say was kidnapped by armed men in South Africa while preaching. Law enforcement there telling NBC affiliate WBIR Sullivan is being held for ransom, and telling NBC News the investigation is at a very sensitive stage.
The suspects allegedly forced the victim into his own vehicle and fled the scene with him.
According to his blog, Sullivan moved to South Africa in 2018 to start a branch of Fellowship Baptist Church.
You can see the sign here of our church.
Sullivan touring the church in this YouTube video posted this past February.
My heart dropped. There's no doubt about that.
Pastor Tom Hatley has been a longtime mentor to the 34-year-old father of three, telling us tonight he's in touch with Sullivan's wife, Megan, who shared that she and her kids were there when he was abducted.
I was obviously very concerned, and I hated that Megan and the children that witnessed this. I've cried, my wife's cried, our church people have cried.
Sullivan's mother telling NBC News, you never think about something like this happening to your child. The State Department saying it's aware of reports of a U.S. citizen kidnapped in South Africa. Today, back home in Tennessee, calls for prayers.
And we need to be praying for him and his safe return, and that God would take care of him.
Not long ago, you'll remember I spoke about the security issues within South Africa, where they were trying to tighten up the rules pertaining security companies that protect whether it be buildings or institutions or what, or individuals specifically. It was private security that were being targeted by those rules. If you remember that video. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave it down in the description below. If it's not there, just check the channel. You'll see a video called Pastors Might Lose Their Security Guards, or something along those lines. I was talking about this issue of what kind of guards can we have. Right now, this pastor, who is a missionary from outside the country, who's now been kidnapped in our country, in an environment that's known for extortion gangs, or these guys who kidnap people and ask for ransom, which is likely what they're going to be looking for here, is ransom from this thing. Now, if they were asking ransom from from a pastor or just an everyday person, that becomes a local issue. Now, asking ransom for an American citizen, yeah, this is gonna get crazy. It's going to get crazy. America doesn't play with its citizens. I just want to highlight that. America does not play when it comes to its citizens. If you want to note what I'm talking about, there were a couple of boys from Nigeria who were doing a picture scam. So basically what they would do is they would go online, create profiles as if they were a girl, and then they will pitch young guys.
Now, both men will spend more than 17 years in prison for their roles in the online scheme. Thanks for joining us. I'm Damon Fernandez in for Devin Skillian.
I'm Kimberly Gill. 17-year-old Jordan DeMay sent explicit images on Instagram to who he thought was a girl. When he couldn't pay $1,000 the crooks were asking for to keep the photos a secret, he committed suicide. I spoke with his mother today after the hearing. Tell me what your reaction is to the sentencing today.
Today was really a landmark day, and that someone is being held accountable for what happened to Jordan.
To get these guys to be willing to send them pictures, very sensitive pictures. And then when those young people have done that, because these young kids might be vulnerable and so forth, so what they do is then they switch up and say, hey, by the way, I'm a dude, I'm in this particular area, and I will expose your pictures to your friends. And so they would threaten these guys to say, I've copied all your friend's profile, and I'm going to send these pictures of you not being dressed or you being nude to all your friends. And if you don't give me money. And so they would work the scam to a point where this one of these kids that they did this to actually paid the money to try and get them off, but they never stopped. They asked for more money, until this kid no longer had money to give them, and he saw no other way out, and that young man ended it, right? And when he did that, America never forgot that story. Never forgot that story. And they sat on it. They investigated those boys who thought they were hidden until they found them. When they found them, they found that there was just a bunch of kids. The guys who were doing this scam were just, I think they were like 18, 16 years old, 17 years old. And they were just wanting to make money from this kid. And America requested for extradition of those kids, and they were extradited to America to face those crimes. America does not play with its citizens. You know, if, like I said, if they done this with someone else, you know, like in South Africa, if you can hide, the guys that know how to hide is, you know, the Arabs. You see how they hide in the bushes in the desert. They still find them. They still find them in the bushes. They find people in the bushes. They found, Saddam Hussein, they find people hiding underground. These guys. Now, you are hiding in the shacks or in so, or you're hiding this guy in things. They're going to find them. They're going to find them. America, when it comes to its citizens, you know, yeah, I know you might see Trump and you're like, no smarts. Yo, those people, this thing, it's going to turn into something else. And you know, they had to give us publicity like this. They had to give South Africa a publicity like this. Like I said, that's why I gave the little bit of background for those that do not understand. These particular areas, like Port Elizabeth and so forth, there's these gangs that are now rising that extort money from businesses, right? And so when you have an environment that's plagued with those kind of gangs, and this shows you why South Africa needs to tighten its grip on these type of crimes. It needs to tighten its grip on this type of crimes because you can see them extortion stuff, it's getting a little bit out of hand. The police need to get a grip on the situation of these guys. They have been, credits to credit where is due, right? You've been seeing, they've been shooting, they are not playing. They have been shooting, police have been shooting. They are not asking questions. particularly with this type of thing, you always hear that the guys, they don't want to go to hell. They just go out guns blazing. In KZN, whatnot, even the younger ones who are getting involved. And that's the thing about the younger ones, is that the younger ones have an influence from substance. So they're brutal. But you can see it's getting worse, and they need to get a grip on the situation. Don't want them ninjas to be feeling like they can run free reign anyhow in the country. Ziriki, definitely update you later on. Sexuality Show up episodes done today. They'll be down in the pinned comments, and I'm gonna check you out later on.